What does the future of the housing market look like? Are we going to see more deceleration in the market, or are we going to see a crash and a flood of foreclosures hit the market? These are the questions on everyone's mind today. Now, if you have read any of the real estate analyst predictions, since the market started shifting, they have continually changed their predictions over time. This is because as our market has shifted, things have changed so drastically and so rapidly. No one really knows what direction we're headed. And recently, it seems like some of these changes are happening daily. The reality is, with the most recent interest rate hikes into the 7% range, this has really put the brakes on demand. This has further slowed our real estate market and further deteriorated our overall affordability. Now, I have talked about this in some of my other videos, that currently we are seeing about an 8.7% home price decline since the peak in May until now. And that going into the fourth quarter, it is normal for us to see more of a slowdown, regardless of if it's a buyer or a seller's market. And this is why it is a great time to be a buyer in the fourth quarter in any market. But because of this, I will not be surprised if we see a further decline in our overall pricing just in the fourth quarter because of the seasonality in our market. Okay, so I wanted to take you into the comp report so that you could see really every single year we see this big decline in listings under contract in this fourth quarter. So this report goes all the way back to 2012, and you can see right here, we were still in that short sales. You can see this light blue short sales. This other color is foreclosures. But here's October, it just declines, and then it shoots back up in January. Again, here we are. It's starting to decline, but again, big drop off. November, big drop off, and then shoots up. Then back over here, again, we kind of get into 2017 and November, big drop off. So it's not abnormal for us to see our contract acceptance and things that are under contract in this fourth quarter decline. You can just see it right here. So now, because of this normal seasonality in our fourth quarter in our market, and what the Fed is doing, trying to curb inflation with this reset that they keep talking about, and telling us that there's going to be pain in the real estate market, things could get worse before they get better. Now, we have not fully erased our year-over-year price appreciation, but I do see this happening before the end of the year. But when you're looking back at the prices, we look back to the pre-pandemic prices in 2020, and that median sales price was about $304,000 versus our peak, which is $480,000, to now, which is $440,000. Now, we still do have quite a bit of appreciation left in our market from this pandemic boom, which I don't see completely going away, but there is no question that our market is going to decline a little bit more. Now, I would be remiss if I did not talk about our rental market, because those buyers that maybe were in the market that have been priced out, they've got to live somewhere. So they are looking now at rentals. Well, just as our resale market exploded, so did our rental market. Our inventory was low and the prices were rising rapidly. And just as our resale market has declined, our rental market is declining as well, with rental prices coming down and almost erasing any of the appreciation that they saw from the beginning of this year. And the number of rentals that we have seen come into the market is up by 175% from September of last year. So what we are seeing right now with these landlords is that to get a tenant in their house, they're oftentimes accepting a pet when they would not have accepted a pet prior. They're also doing multiple leases in one home so that some of these people can have individual leases on the room rather than one lease on the overall house. They're doing what they have to do to get their home filled so that they can create that income for themselves, which is what that house was designed for. We're also starting to see that some landlords that were into the short-term rental game are now turning them into long-term rentals, which just further added to our overall inventory. Some of them said that they were doing this because of some of the new rules and regulations that were being put on some of these short-term rental owners, and they were really just opting to change their business model. Now, if you'd like to learn more about what those are, I'm going to drop a link to a video that I did all about short-term rentals and what some of those rules and regulations are. So as we talk about sales and what prices are doing right now, what we're seeing is a big pushback from buyers, not just because of home prices, but also because of the interest rates. Now, because this market shifted so quickly, a lot of sellers are really having a hard time wrapping their head around the drastic change in demand and where it's leading prices. Some sellers are still pricing their homes based on the numbers from the first and second quarter of this year. And some sellers are still holding on to hope that that's going to work for them. But the reality is that those numbers are just gone. A few of my buyers have gotten homes under contract over the last few months. And these homes have had a few price reductions before we got the home under contract. I have heard the same thing from some of these sellers' agents when I'm negotiating for the price for my client. The seller really believes that from their original sales price to the final negotiated price is a huge give on their part. The problem is that you can't take a look at the original list price. You have to take a look at where you reduced your price to, and then the negotiated price. I understand their thought process. Unfortunately, it's just not correct. You are really only negotiating from the list price when you got the offer. So although some sellers feel that they're coming off of their price by a significant amount of money, the reality is when we start looking at the overall list price to sales price ratio, meaning the final list price where they were when they got the offer to the sales price, it's about 97%, which is pretty normal in our market. So when people start talking about all the differences in the numbers, I wanted to bring you into this page in the Cromford report to show you some of the big changes that we've seen from 2 years ago to last quarter to today. And the first one I want to talk about is our active listings. You can see from 2 years ago, we were looking at about 13,000 active listings. Today, we're at about 23 active listings. Now, here's the next really big one, and this is the one that's affecting our market the most, is listings under contract. You can see 2 years ago, we had 13,000 listings under contract. Last year at this time, we had 12,000 listings under contract. Last quarter, we were at 8,000. Last month, we were at 8,000. Today, we are at 6,000. It's a big, big difference, and this is one of the things that is going to affect prices the most. So the next one I want you to look at is the month supply right here. And 2 years ago, we were at 0.8. Almost nothing on the market for sale. Then last year, we were in the same position, 0.8. Last quarter, we were at 2.4. Last month, we were at 3.1. And today, we are at 3.4 months inventory. Now, if you start listening to people kind of on a national level, or maybe in other states, a lot of people are going to look at this and go, oh, well, we're still in a seller's market. Because if they look at it, they go, okay, 6 months and more inventory, then we're in a buyer's market. 6 months less, and we're in a seller's market. The big thing is that when you start correlating and you look at the contract ratio, that is really going to tell us, because it is not seasonally adjusted, that is really going to show us that we really are in a more normal market or a balanced market in some areas, but we're really in a buyer's market in a lot of others in the Phoenix market. And it's going to be city by city. So the next one I want to show you is this average sales price percent to list. And this is what we were just talking about. So again, 2 years ago, we were at 98. Last year, we were at over 100%. It's just kind of gone down. Last quarter, we were at 99. Last month, we were at 97. We are sitting still at 97. And this 97% is very normal for our market. Okay, and so the last one I want to show you here is this listing success rate. So 2 years ago, we were at 98.5%. Then we went to 98.5% again. Then we just started slowly dropping. Last quarter, we were at 76.9%. Last month, we were at 68.8%. And this month, we're at 66.9%. That is how many contracts go on the market actually sell. We're at 66.9%. So a lot of homes are being canceled and they've expired off the market. And these sellers are saying, I'll just keep it and I'll just stay where I am. So despite slowly rising inventory over the last 2 years in this pandemic boom that we just saw, economists say that our inventory is still at historically low levels, and they just expect it to decline further. The National Association of Home Builders chief economist said in a statement earlier this week that housing starts, which reached their lowest point since 2011, will continue to fall as the market retracts. And given expectations for ongoing elevated interest rates due to the actions by the Federal Reserve, 2023 is forecasted to see an additional single-family building declines as the housing contraction continues. While some analysts have suggested that the housing market is now balanced, the truth is that the home ownership rate will decline in the quarters ahead as higher interest rates and ongoing elevated construction costs continue to price out a large number of prospective buyers. Now, this is what's considered household formation. And this is when people start living together because they cannot afford to live alone, whether they're buying or they're renting. But here's one of my biggest concerns. As things change, and they will, if our inventory continues to stay this low, how will this affect pricing? If history repeats itself, are we going to end up in a situation that we have just come out of? The reality is that interest rates have been a massive hit to our overall affordability in a short period of time. And the subsequent reduction in demand is having a major impact on the market as a whole. And even though we've been talking about affordability for a while, it is not until these interest rates hit our market that we really saw demand fall. But interest rates do not make prices fall on their own. That depends on supply and the market sentiment. Now, the overall market sentiment is unusually low. Supply is also weak. Sellers are discouraged. This keeps prices much higher than if our supply was rising drastically. There is no question that our market is moving in the buyer's favor, but it is nowhere close to how quickly the market moved in the buyer's favor, like the 2008 housing bubble. The Cromford report said this: without a source of extra supply, prices are very likely to retreat, but relatively slowly and modestly. Any talk of massive price drops is pure speculation. I am not saying it cannot happen. Anything is possible in the right or wrong circumstances. But if supply stays tight, the price movements are very likely to be slow and gentle, not sudden and violent. Sellers are stuck right now. This is why we're seeing such a low listing success rate. If they're not going to get what they want for their house, they will take it off the market and stay. This is one of the big reasons why we are also not seeing our inventory rise so drastically. And even though some people want to say that builders are overbuilding, we are not seeing the number of permits being pulled anywhere close to what they pulled prior to the housing crash in 2008. Now, to help put your mind at ease about foreclosures, because this is something that I hear people talk about a lot right now, they're really expecting the number of our foreclosures to shoot up. But let me just show you. This was 2008, and at our peak, we saw 10,500. This is where we are right now. Now, down here, this was the moratorium. I've talked about this on my channel before. This was the moratorium where nobody could have a foreclosure on their home. Now, it did jump, and you will see some articles say that it jumped by 400%. It's just, this is what our jump is. It could, if you look at the numbers, could it be 400%? It might have been, but we literally went from 83 to 243 versus 10,500. Big difference. So we have seen a little bit of an increase, but it is nothing like way back here. Now, I don't see our foreclosure situation that I just showed you changing unless we see some massive job loss. And no one really knows if that's going to happen. Now, the interesting thing was I did a poll on my channel because I really wanted to know how much equity do you have in your home right now? And 28% of you said you had over 50% equity in your home. And 39% of you said you own your home free and clear, as in no mortgage. This is one of the biggest differences between our market now and what our market was prior to the housing bubble. There are a lot more people that own their house outright or have a significant amount of equity in their home. Now, the big thing to remember here is that just because we saw a housing crash in 2008, it does not mean that anytime we see a shift, that's the only direction it's going to go. Again, I do understand that we are currently experiencing some pain in our market, and I do think that that is going to stick around for a little bit, but it does not mean that everything that happened last time is going to happen this time. Now, if you'd like to see a video on how the iBuyers are affecting our market, take a look at this video I did right here. If I can answer any questions, please feel free to reach out. As always, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.